Hello, this is Mike. The summative assignment for this module is in two parts, an individual component and a group component. In this screencast, I'd just like to offer some general guidance on approaching the individual part of the assignment. The individual element is worth 3/4 of the module mark, 75% of the mark, and it takes the form of a personal learning journal. And we want you, as it's a social media module, to present that journal not in a written Word document, but in the form of a blog. And specifically, we're asking you to do it in the Blogger platform, which is integrated into Google. You already have this, and it's free and easy to use. A learning journal is really an academic diary. The idea is, as you go through a module, you take notes, jot down observations, all sorts of things, anything relevant, really. You make your own notebook, scrapbook, call it what you will, of your experiences going through the module. So it's a reflection. That's the most important thing to bear in mind. Notes and observations on the module and its content and different resources you've explored and how you relate it to um, the world around you. So the best way to approach this would be to start right now, to set up your blog, go back in time a little, uh, make some notes on the materials we've covered so far in the module and post them. And then if you just a couple of times a week post to your blog, or as often as you feel necessary, you'll actually be doing the assignment as you go through the module. So it's as simple as that. We want you just to keep a diary, a notebook, a dynamic document to take you through the module. Let me expand on this a little bit more for you, because some people are completely new to learning journals, and at first you can find it probably a bit more daunting than it really is. This is some suggestions from me as to things you might put into your blog. Um, think about the materials you encounter, issues raised, things you found surprising or contradictory, anything at all really, just your comments on the materials as you work through them, the content of them. To try to develop an understanding, I know a lot of you have been doing this anyway through the Google community. You'll have gone off exploring other resources that relate to the things we're talking about. Sometimes they complement, sometimes they contradict what we've been looking at. But many of you have been sharing links and things too. So you could write about them. You might have found an alternative to the conversation prism, for example, all of your own. And you might want to write one or two sentences about that and provide the link. So including the additional work you've done, yeah, expand it. Comment too as you go through the materials on the things you find interesting or useful and how they might relate to the world around you, perhaps your work or your home life. So as you counter different concepts such as, I don't know, use of Twitter, uh, think about and comment on how it might be applied in your own organization. Perhaps it already is. Perhaps your own organization is using Twitter, but working through the materials, you realize, actually, we could be doing this better. Comment on that. And overall, keep a rolling log of what you think you're getting out of the module as you go through it, and things you might want to explore further when the module's over. That's really all a learning journal is. It's a dynamic reflection on the materials as you work through the module a diary with comments, links to additional resources, a cross between a diary and a notebook, your own notes on the materials, and your thoughts on them. That's all. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's a personal learning journal, so it's personal to you. Yeah. You might find things really fascinating and want to write about them. You might have found one or two aspects of the content frustrating. Well, actually, Solace's model doesn't cover this, this, and this, and there's nothing discussed anywhere in my reading on that. That type of thing. Just keep a rolling log of the material you're going through, how it's useful or not useful, how it's interesting or not interesting, how it applies or doesn't apply to the world around you, and a collection of comments and links that take the reader of your blog to some of the wider resources you consulted as you try to apply the module to the world. There are three criteria when a learning journal of any kind, blog or paper, is being assessed. They're not a secret, they're nothing magical, just three basic principles that a good learning journey should entail. Your blog should first of all be reflections, not descriptions, reflections. You should be trying to integrate the tools and concepts that we're discussing and reading about. You should be trying to apply them to the world around you and in a critical way. So, for example, the strategic implementation model, it worked quite well in this company, I know, but it didn't work in that one. That would be being critical and analytical. Just describing the strategic implementation model wouldn't be. So it's a synthesize and reflect. The second element is presentation. I don't mean how your blog looks. Blogs are very personal things. You can set it up with whatever template and style you want. The main thing is that it should be readable, just look at a lot of blogs. You'll see lots of different formats. Pick an example of a format that you like and present your work in that way. The key presentational mark is not from the look, it's from how you articulate and organize your ideas. So some of you might want to, week by week, put one or two entries of the materials we encounter, perhaps going back occasionally and adding links into things that you discovered that provide further information on a topic. Others might want to make it more thematic or organize it around particular aspects of the organization. You might want to have a collection of entries in your blog about marketing, about HR, about strategy. You might want to have generic academic content, and you might want to have application to a particular industry you're interested in, perhaps as a separate section of the blog. Doesn't matter. You can structure this however you want as long as it's logical and easy to read. And the third criterion is completeness. Yeah. What I'm looking for is the diary analogy is really good because your journal should show us that you've gone through the module, you've followed a journey, you've understood the materials we're going through, and you have views on them. Yeah, you have views on the different tools and frameworks that we encounter, the case studies. You found cases of your own. We need to see the journey, and that's really it. So remember, reflect, present, and go for completeness. Show that you've done the whole module. Some other issues that typically raise questions from students on an assignment like this. Yes, please do use the Blogger platform. It just makes it easy for you to actually complete your journal and for us to find a market. It's a very simple tool. There are lots of others out there. I use WordPress from time to time, but stick to Blogger so we're all working on with the same set of tools. A blog isn't anonymous, and so sometimes that raises questions from students. Just to clarify, not all assignments in Durham University have to be anonymous. Exams do, and written essays, but other formats do not have to be, and a blog is not intended to be. Yeah? So it's a multimedia presentation, and just like a presentation in the classroom can't be done anonymously. You couldn't stand there in a classroom presenting from PowerPoint slides with a paper bag over your head so we didn't know who you were. Some assignments are not anonymous. A blog is an example of that. It's perfectly okay and normal within the university regulations. In fact, diversity in assessment methods is a key criterion of any degree program, particularly at the master's level. And so, we want to be able to assess you in lots of different ways, and sometimes they don't need to be anonymous. There's nothing to be gained or lost. Access is another issue. Blogger's really cool. You can decide whether anyone else can see your blog or not. Just go into the privacy settings and you'll see what I mean. You can decide just to publicly make your blog available to literally the entire world. Alternatively, you can grant access to certain people, so you might want to make it just visible to other people in the class. Alternatively, you might just want to make it visible to the teaching team. So it's up to you. I don't mind, as long as myself and Carolyn can actually view your blog and mark it together when the time comes. The rest is up to you. Word count. Your blog can be as big or small as it needs to be, quite frankly. The whole point of escaping from a written essay yet again or an exam is to have some freedom. A blog is what it is. Some people write lots of short posts, some people write a small number of very long ones. There's no formal word count as such. What we're looking for is evidence that your blog to produce your blog would have been the equivalent workload over a period of time to producing an essay of roughly 3,000 words, because it's 75% of the mark in this case. Yeah? So it's the workload, not the word count, that's important. It's a reflective learning journal. It's personal to you. It'll be as big or small as it needs to be. So don't get hung up on old-fashioned ideas like word count. Referencing. Yeah, do use references, but do it in a creative way. It's a blog. It's a dynamic document. If you found an interesting article that develops, I don't know, use of advertising and pop-up banner ads, which might be a topic we've been looking at one week. If you find an interesting article and you want to make some comments from what the authors have said, do so. Reference it, but, put a hyperlink in the reference to the article. Yeah, that type of thing. So do reference, don't plagiarize, use quotations in the normal way, and include hyperlinks rather than a table of references. I'm not looking for a bibliography in your blog or anything like that. But if you talk about Golden 2012, just put a little click linking you through to Golden's article. Simple as that. And finally, marking. We mark it in the way we would any other journal or assignment. Okay? What you should do with this assignment is start it now. Use the diary analogy I've been talking about. Work your way through, reflect on the materials, make your notes and observations, links to other stuff. When the teaching formally ends, you won't be encountering any new material from our side, So then you've got a week or two to really go back, edit your blog posts, tidy it up, polish it. The submission deadline that's quoted in Duo, well, you're not actually going to submit anything, yeah? At that date and time, we will take a snapshot of your blog, yeah, and mark what's there at that moment. That's it. Simple as that. So there's nothing to hand in. What we'll need, and there'll be instructions nearer the time from me. I'll send you an email telling you what to do. All I'll need is a link to your blog, and on the deadline, I will download a copy of it quickly, and it's that snapshot that Carolyn and I will mark. Okay, I've tried here to cover some of the basic things that students ask me when they're presented with a blog as an assignment, and I hope you found it helpful. I can't cover everything, I can't anticipate every question, but that's what your tutors are there for. Please tweet us so that we can share the answers, or email us if you have particular concerns. But just to reiterate, we want you to keep a blog about the materials, notes on the tools and concepts and ideas that we encounter, your reflections on them, your attempts to apply them to things you know from the world of work or home around you. Include links to new resources that you've discovered yourself. Just blog about the course, and we'll mark it when the time comes. At the end, at the submission deadline, that's the version of the blog that we will award a mark to. Start it now. It really will help. Normally you work your way through a module, you try to keep up with all of the materials, and then you've got the chore of going away and writing an assignment or something. If you just start now, set up a blog and blog your way through the course, all you've got to do at the end is polish it a bit. So it should actually be a more interesting and staggered approach to doing an assignment. Enjoy it. Thank you.